It's Brian Preston, the money guy.
What's changed over time with investing?
Now this one, again, over the course of the time that you've been an investor and in financial planning, and even over my time, it's changed a ton. And I would say that it's changed for the better if you do it right.
Well, I think when I started managing, let's not even talking about before I started managing. Let's talk about when I was just a public accountant. When I got out, graduated from college, worked in public accounting, I didn't know anything any more than anybody else. So my first investment purchase was in a mutual fund with a B share.
Oh, wow.
A B share that had an internal operating expense of 2.4%. Had a deferred sales charge on the back end that stepped down from 6%, 5%, depending upon 4%, depending upon how many years you've owned it. Those things don't even exist anymore. So the internal operating expenses back then were at least 1.5%.
Sure.
I mean, it's just unbelievable. Now, it's practically free. It's zero. You can literally buy index funds or ETFs that have internal operating expenses that are like 0.1% or 0.01%, to even Fidelity has zero funds that are zero minimums, zero internal expenses, zero trading costs. I mean, it's kind of incredible what how the world has changed so much.
I can remember when when you wanted to buy an investment, there were essentially 3 charges that you could be dinged, especially if you're buying like a mutual fund. You would pay a commission like an A share, B share, just like you said, internal operating expenses. And then even there were ticket charges that if you wanted to trade a certain type of fund, it might cost you $5, $10, $20, $40 to trade that. Now, all 3 of those have either gone away. And actually, if you look at the zero funds, all of those costs have gone away. Yeah. No ticket charge, no commissions, no internal expenses. It really has changed the game. And the ultimate beneficiary of that is the consumer, is the investor, because that's more money in your back pocket to build your army of dollar bills.
And just to give perspective, I mean, back then, if you wanted to invest, you first had to find somebody who could give you access. Mm-hmm. It's not like you could just go start trading willy-nilly like you can now. So you probably had to reach out to somebody who, your coworker had dealt with them. It was like your coworker's brother-in-law,
right?
Who sells insurance or investments, partially. Or you go to the strip shopping center next to the grocery store you go to.
Or the guy that knocked on your door. There used to be guys that walk around, knock on the doors.
Usually their home branch is the shopping center.
That's right.
But it's and then the stocks, you would reach out to your father-in-law's stockbroker, his golf buddy. I mean, it's kind of, now you do everything online. There's no ticket charges. Why do you think there's so much consolidation? Everything is harder, better, faster, and stronger. If you think about, now you can shop investments, insurance, mortgages. You can even do tax research and tax forms
online,
right there on the internet. And then I wanted to kind of move on past just the structure of it. If you think about how you invest, if you wanted a diversified, all-in-one option, old school way, you buy a balanced fund. Mm-hmm. What is a balanced fund? A balanced fund is typically like what they call a 60-40 split, meaning 60% growth assets, 40% conservative assets. You know what the thing is about 60-40 balanced funds? You look at them 3 years from now, you look at them 10 years from now, they're going to be somewhere
still
close to 60-40. There's not much change. There's not much, your life is changing as you're going on your career path and getting closer to retirement. You probably want less and less risk, but if you don't have somebody managing that, how does that happen? Well, now we have target retirement funds, and even better, we have index target retirement funds where you choose the year you think you will need the money, and guess what? That asset allocation gets more and more conservative as you walk towards that date.
What I love is that technology has made so many more things available to us as investors, but what it allows us to do is it gives us the opportunity to make too many decisions that could take us off track. One of the things that we love the most about target retirement funds is you really only have to figure out 2 things.
Yep.
When do I think I want to retire? And how much do I want to save? If you can wrap those 2 things up and get that going, you will be amazed at just how quickly your army of dollar bills will begin to grow.
I do want to, because you're the CFA on staff. Sure. I love to brag on you about that too. Is talk to us about active versus index funds, because that's also something that I've seen it change over my career as well.
Yeah, so there used to be this idea, 20 years ago where the goal of investing was to go out and beat the market. I need to either design a portfolio that can perform better than the broad market, or I need to choose a manager that can outperform. Well, as we've collected data over decades and decades and decades now, we've begun to realize that maybe outperforming and beating the market is a pretty difficult proposition. Maybe we as individual investors might be better if we just participate in the market. And in doing that, we can go out there and buy super low-cost index funds. We don't have the risk of underperforming the market, and we can save money on internal expenses. It's kind of a best of both worlds. So one of the shifts that we've seen, even in target retirement funds, which used to only be available as active target retirement funds, now there are even target retirement funds that are indexed, that all they care about is the actual allocation of the assets, not the selection of the underlying securities.
So you just laid it out. So I want to talk about how do you do this right. First of all, I liked how you just said you really only have to make 2 decisions with like a target retirement fund. Well, here's what I like about, and this is what we think for everybody who's under $400,000. Focus on the most important thing, which is your behavior. The automatic wealth creation of creating a savings plan that does all the heavy lifting for you. Now you can just go buy a target index retirement fund that does all the noise that we just talked about, that talks about the investment selection, that talks about the asset allocation, that talks about all those trading costs. You don't have to worry about any of that stuff. If you go look at like Fidelity Investments, Vanguard, Schwab, all those guys have index target retirement funds that will let you focus on really the most important wealth building thing at your disposal, which is getting the behavior right, getting the strategy. But Bo, there is a point where you need to know when to go pro. And why is there even a transition point? Why wouldn't you just stay in index target retirement funds until you're worth $12 million?
Yeah, because there are ways that you can actually optimize your financial situation, whether it be looking at a more specialized, more customized asset allocation, how you're actually housing your assets, or if you're looking at a specialized asset location, what types of accounts are you holding, what types of assets in. If you're just using like an index target retirement fund, it's a very generalized solution, right? So that in general will make sense for anyone who's in roughly the same circumstance as you. As your portfolio grows to that $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, then it might make sense to look for something specialized to your unique situation. Your goals, your time horizon, your risk tolerance, your risk capacity, your tax circumstance, and your account structure. If you can build a portfolio around that, there's a chance that you'll be able to stretch your dollars 3, 4, 5, 10% further than other investors in the same area.
So here's what I heard you say, and I want to make sure what I hear you did not say is that you still want to maximize all the benefits of technology and innovation, meaning that you still want to be using index funds. You're still going to be thinking about ETFs, but you're also maybe going a little deeper with adding additional asset classes, but also getting creative with maybe a charitable gift fund.
That's a great point.
You had already talked about asset location. All that stuff is so powerful. And that's why I think it also ties into, and we'll talk about this more at the end of the show, the abundance cycle is, go out there, focus on what you need to, which is the behavioral side. There'll be an opportunity for complications. The more successful you are, you're going to find life just being complex just kind of happens naturally. It does. It really, because I remember being a younger man, not having resources and doing tax returns. Like, man, look at this complicated tax return. These people make lots of money. They have lots of investments. They have lots of investment income. This must be awesome. And then one day you wake up and go, man, I got a lot of stuff going on. It's a lot of complexity. That's when you're going to need somebody to kind of quarterback and help shepherd all that stuff through. But it's just going to happen naturally, guys. So focus on the behavior, focus on building wealth, focus on the mindset, and you'll be set to kind of take advantage of let technology and innovation be your kind of co-pilot in the process as well.